Can you hear me? Good. How's everybody doing? I get the vaunted 1:45 after lunch spot, so I'll try to bring the energy for you guys. The last time I talked on this iteration was 2018, and super fired. I'm excited. Like we've done probably 2 months of work on putting the deck together. Excited to present, and then I get my time slot. It was the last time slot on the last day after the customer party, right? Which everybody was hungover, which you will be tomorrow. Jay Leno was speaking, right? So I'm like, dude, nobody's going to listen to me. They're going to go get a drink. They're going to go listen to Jay Leno. And then to the kind of the coup de grace is they put me in Canary 3. That was the room name. Canary, the bird that dies, right, in the mine. So I'm like, oh, there's a lot of high hopes. But it was a room like this. So again, thank you guys all for coming. My name is Tom Laird. I want to give a talk today that I think hopefully can bring you guys a ton of value. There's no sales here. We've been, as this kind of shows, been on the platform for a really long time. And what I wanted to do today is give you kind of 10 things to make you think about how to utilize the platform in maybe different ways. I run a 600 to 700 seat BPO in the States here in Northwestern PA. And, I love talking in groups like this because as a BPO owner, I have financial services clients and tech support clients and retail clients and insurance clients, right? And we've had to do so many different things over the years that I want to present some of those things to you as well. Last thing I want to say to you as well before I get going is everything I say here, I'm a total open book. I'm probably not supposed to say this, but we have a huge library of studio code of everything that we've done here. It's all kind of for free. If you want to come to the booth and ask me if there's anything that you like here, we'll give you kind of the framework for what we did, and hopefully that can at least help you in your contact centers. This is technology and also some employee engagement things that are totally off the platform. So again, as I say here, this is kind of, from a call center pro to call center pros. So again, it's kind of 10 tips how to utilize the platform in I think, cool and unique ways, and hopefully that there's at least a couple things that you can take back into your centers to improve. So let's begin. It's a great picture of me too, by the way. It looks like the first one. I just want to call out one thing on here. If you guys have not, we have an unbelievable podcast. It's my baby. We have about 187 episodes. It's called Advice from a Call Center Geek. Please check it out. Love to know what you think. I think it's been able to help a ton of people. All right, so quick agenda. And the CX1 people are like, you have 10 tips. Why do you have 4 things? I'm like, well, it's an agenda. We're just going to talk about how to maximize CX1. I talk a little bit, probably 4 slides on interaction analytics in some different unique ways. I know that can sometimes be a little bit of a struggle of utilizing that in the best way. Some, I think, cool things on how we're engaging our agents and reducing attrition that I think you can easily implement in your contact centers. And then just overall tips and tactics. Number 1. We have a culture at Expivia, and that's the name of my company, probably should have said that, of attitude and effort. And it was always easy to incent our associates off of effort, right? QA scores and do they show up to work and all these kind of effort things. But what we struggled with was attitude, right? And so one of the ways that we've been able to incent attitude is by using sentiment scores for our agents, and we pay and incent them off of sentiment, right? So these are posted every single day. Every single agent knows where they stand. I think it's created a lot of fun, cool competition. And also from a selfish standpoint, I'm able to prove to my customers, right, a couple which are in here, that we are using proper word choice, that we're using great tone, right, that we're handling their customers in the right way. So this is not only a culture enhancer, but it's an awesome way to incent your associates. And it's a great way to use analytics that maybe you're not thinking about. We talk about QA scores. We talk about all those types of things, cross-sell, upsells, and how are our sales numbers? Well, this is a way that you can actually incent and pay your customer service associates as well. Number 2, with the rise of CX1, we have seen so many customers that are on the platform. And again, I don't want this to sound like this is something, because this is something very easily that you can do. If you, say, have 2 business units that you want to tie together, maybe you're a really big company and you would like to do that, I'm more than happy to give you the code that we work on. So we have APIs that can connect business units together and then use business rules to route calls, right? So instead of just saying with the Studio app, hey, if this many calls go in queue, send here, which is everybody can do it, it's very easy. That we actually look into business units from our customers, find out what agents are available, and then whatever business rules we want to use, whether it's the exact agent, whether it's handle time, whether it's how many they have available, whatever business rule that we want to use, we can then send calls. We can actually pull back calls as well. So really cool use case that I think I loved. If the CX1 guys kind of put that together, they never did it, so we built it ourselves. So if that is something that is of interest to you, come see me at the booth, and I can show you kind of how we do it. This is my favorite, and I don't know why I put it third. Probably should have been last. But this is by far, I think, one of the coolest use cases for analytics that we utilize. We're coming into kind of an economic downturn, right? People are talking about headcount. We have to get rid of headcount. Our budget is getting less and less and less. How do we do that wisely and smartly and not just cut agents? From a BPO standpoint, I have clients that say, here's my budget, right? What does that get me? Or what can we do with this? Or, hey, I need to lessen our headcount. We've been able to utilize interaction analytics to basically look, we always talk about an 80-30 SLA, right? 80-30, 80-30. Is that really the number, right? Every RFP that I'm involved in, it certainly is, right? But I don't know if it is. So we've been able to use analytics to look at what time in queue does customer sentiment start to drop. And for a lot of business units and business types, that's over 2 minutes. That could be 1:30. It might be 30 seconds. But we're able to see, and I can go to my customer and say, hey, listen, we can actually drop this from an 80-30 to a 220-70. And you're not going to find any drop in your sentiment scores, which we have found correlate perfectly to NPS and CSAT. And I know some people can disagree with that, but I think that's been where we have moved away from those and moved more to the sentiment scoring for our agents because it's doing everything. Really cool use case, something different. And again, even if you don't utilize that, I want you to, I'm not doing an analytics talk, but there's so many things that you can do on the platform being an artist, right, and a scientist. And this, I think, is more kind of the artist of thinking a little bit outside the box of what we can do to not tick off our customers, but still make sure that our sentiment, NPS, CSAT are where they need to be, but also lessening the cost of the contact center. Okay, first, outside the platform deal. So this is how we have lowered our attrition in our contact center by about 18%. It's called our effort multiplier. I could give a whole talk on this, and this normally generates a ton of questions at the end. So I'll try to get to some if you guys have any, or come over to the booth again, and I can kind of walk you through it. But at Expivia, what we do is we pay a base rate. Our base rates never change. So for us, we're in the Northwestern PA. We're in that, again, that $14, $15, $16, $17 an hour range. That's kind of what we are charging right now. And what we said was, okay, outside of how we're incenting for sentiment and our QA and doing a really good job, one of the main things is we want people to be at work, right? So we're basically taking this. You don't have to be a great contact center agent. You don't even have to be a good contact center agent. You just have to show up, right? And that, again, they say that's half the battle, right? And I think in the BPO space, it's more than half the battle, right? So what we do is every single week that they work, right, we add on to their base rate, right? And it's up to 100, they have to work 100% of the shift. And as the longer they go, the more leeway we give to kind of, again, remember, we're never punishing the rep. We're never going below their base rate. We're not doing that. We're giving an incentive for coming to work. And again, we're not doing, if you're late by 5 seconds, you lose your streak. Not doing any of that. There's some business rules to it. There's also some things that you got to get some buy-in before you do something like this with your contact center reps, which we can talk about. But this has been extremely successful for us. It's been an awesome way to kind of incent the reps that are there. And in the BPO space, we're billing by the agent hour or we're billing by the minute. So if you're there, we get the bill. So the rep gets to kind of partake into kind of the success of the business as well. So just something that, again, to kind of think about when you're thinking, how do I pay agents or how do we improve attrition a little bit? All right, and I think a lot of you are doing this, but I want to throw it out there because this has been such a unique way of utilizing routing with integrations, right? So we still have so many clients that have siloed their data. They're not integrated into CXone or into their telephony platform. And it's not just getting screen pops and things like that are cool, right? But to be able to route off the data in a CRM, right, has been a really cool way of, again, utilizing that. For example, we have a customer who has about 1,000 financial advisors all throughout the country, and they have a program with them where we make outbound calls to kind of schedule yearly reviews. If there's any questions that they have for the financial advisor, we'll answer those questions as well. But when the call comes in, we capture the ante, right? Then we go into Salesforce. We find out what advisor that person has, and then we have our reps have just specific agents that they're working with. So then, boom, we can pop it to the agent that they've already talked to and said, hey, this is Jim Smith or Janie Smith's office, right? And it's that type of experience. So any piece of data, right, when you have it integrated, right, you can route off of, right? So this also comes into effect when you're talking about high-value customers, right? If you have something tagged in Salesforce, Zoho, Zendesk, proprietary CRM, right, you can then route those calls accordingly to some business rules that you have based on the data. So again, I'm sure some of you guys or a lot of you guys are doing that. If you're not, it's not very difficult to do, and I'm more than happy to show you if you want to come to the booth and give you at least the framework to do that with. The most underutilized CX tool in CXone that all of you have, that you have to pay absolutely nothing for, that nobody uses, is workforce intelligence. Right? Workforce intelligence is on your platform right now, and it can be as basic as setting up rules where if a service level drops below 80%, an email gets sent out to a lot of people. We can do that within the platform, right? That's the basic of it. The cool piece of it is, Avaya used to have it was called the Business Advocate, and that's kind of how far back I go. And the Business Advocate allowed you to have reserve agents. And it would see in the IVR if a call was about to be coming to queue that would knock you out of service level, it would pull reserve agents in, and then it would move it back out. You can do the same exact thing with workforce intelligence. And nobody does it. When I go consult, I'm saying it's less than 10% of the people have even heard of this. The nice guys and the CXone guys do a horrible job talking about it. And I think it's an unbelievable tool. Think about you have brand new agents, and you want to say, hey, if our average handle time, maybe as the whole group, or maybe even this group of agents goes above 6 minutes, we're going to knock their proficiency down so they don't take as many calls. You can do that for a certain period of time, or when the overall handle time gets to a level, then they go back up to that proficiency. So you can move agents in and out of skills. For me, it's cool as a BPO because I can guarantee a service level on a skill, right? I can actually say, hey, listen, on your sales skills, I know you want 80, right? Your service skills, you're already at 60, right? And we can then utilize both of those going back and forth to make sure that I don't have somebody in our mission control just moving agents all day. We're using business rules and logic on the platform. This is a huge AI piece too, of how this is getting better and better and better and becoming more predictive as well. Really cool tool. You got to go play with it. You got to utilize it. It's awesome, and it's on your platform right now. All right, another kind of off the platform conversation. A couple things from an engagement standpoint that I have found that have worked really, really well in my contact center. All right, number one is an employee suggestion board. We used to have a board. There's my big beak right there, where we would have an office that had nothing in it but that glass board. And any employee could go in there and mark anything on the board as long as it dealt with our culture of attitude and effort. Improving that, talking about it, working on that. It couldn't just be, I hate Janie Smith's supervisor, get rid of her, right? That's not really a suggestion. So now we use Monday.com because everybody's worked from home. Nobody's in the office. And we have a board that any rep can go into and submit suggestions. And then what we do is quarterly, as a company, we vote on one of them. And whatever wins, then we get a team together, whether we need IT, whether we need HR, whether we need client services, whoever we need, we put a team together and we go implement that. Right? So, anything from changing the UI, UX on how we log in, to we want to have more parties, to whatever it is, right? There's a lot of things, again, that it shows that not only do we have a board that people can write on and nobody does anything with, right? But we actually have a team that we will then bring together, go implement the stuff, which has been a huge kind of deal, especially with the work from home, and just kind of give updates on all that. Leadership groups, if you don't have them in your call center, you're making just a huge mistake, right? So not only leadership committees, how many of you guys have ever changed a headset or a chair and think you're doing a great job but had an absolute revolt from your agents? Well, none of you? I'm the only one? Thank you for participating, right? It's the number one way to tick off contact center agents is change their stuff that they use every single day without them having any say in it whatsoever, right? So to have that committee of reps that maybe have been there for a while, you know who have clout. Everybody knows that. You know, those reps that really kind of drive the team. And again, it's a little different with work from home, but start committees with them. New committee, a new equipment committee. Again, any issues on the floor. Think about this. And again, for me, running a call center, I will be able to walk in up and down the rows, right? And you'll be able to hear things like, oh man, they don't like each other. I got issues with this supervisor. Like, you could hear all that. And you can start to like, okay, well, let's form a plan to fix this stuff. Can't do that anymore, right? So if you can get a committee, and again, when people are in Slack or in Teams, right, they're not saying anything in general channels. They're DMing, they're doing everything in the back. You don't know what's going on, right? So it's a huge way that I think, again, you can improve the culture and find out what, kind of get your ear to the ground. The other thing is having a welcome committee. And everybody has kind of an iteration for how do you onboard new agents, right? For us, a welcome committee has worked extremely well. We don't pair them up. We found that that's, especially work from home, didn't work as well. But to have this committee that reaches out, hey, if you do have a problem, so we have a Slack channel for these guys. So anybody can then go and if you're new, can talk to that group who's been here forever, who's been through the ins and outs. And there's a sounding board outside of the management team or HR that they can go to. I think that's been a really cool thing as well. So I was going to lie to you and say we did this quarterly because we used to, but we have not done it. It's about every 6 months now. So once or twice a year, the biggest source of data, knowledge on your CX1 platform on what is happening in your contact center is your middle management, right? And we forget about those guys. They know how to use the platform better than most of us, right? Unless you're, on the floor supervisor. They're utilizing it every single day. They're utilizing supervisor. How do they do analytics? How are they moving agents? They find all the cheat ways to do everything, right? And we want to take that knowledge, that's really good knowledge, and spread it to all of our team members. So we'll do this. We'll have an offsite. And again, we'll maybe do some training stuff, especially like on the legal side of things, but it's more for them to talk. And again, you get call center agents and supervisors talking about things that they're really good at, that they know, right? They want to get that knowledge out. And it's a way for us to kind of really disperse all the knowledge of our organization between healthcare, financial services, tech support, different integrations, Salesforce, proprietary, like all of this stuff that everybody's doing. And we can kind of keep them all into kind of that at least same basis of their knowledge. So really, really cool. And again, you find out what's going on. I struggle with work from home. I was an anti-work from home guy. We worked in financial services primarily in my other life. I couldn't get past the security aspect of it. But we have to do it. Like, there's not an option anymore. So again, how do we over communicate? How do we really find out what's going on? And I think that's another really good way to do it. We don't call our team leads team leads. We call them, they're our management trainees, right? So with our management trainees, we try to get them for our management trainee program, they actually will come into the office for this for certain weeks, maybe every other week. But we have them in every single department. So again, being a BPO, it's important that they know what QA is doing. So they got to go to QA and take calls. It's important that they know what HR is doing. When they have to either maybe write somebody up or do a hiring or do an interview, right? I think all that stuff's really important. Talked with the IT guys, right? They love it. IT guys love doing this. But I think that's a really important thing too, to develop our culture throughout the entire organization. All right, here's my chat. Every presentation has to have some type of chat GPT something, right? So here's mine. We always struggled with interaction analytics. I'm not going to ask another question because only one person raised their hand last time. So now you guys just hear me. We always struggled developing categories, subcategories, for our clients. What are the trending keywords that we really want to listen for? So what we would do is we just, turn it on. We kind of see what was happening. We find out what our client was kind of looking for. We build up those categories and continue to build it over a longer period of time. With ChatGPT, it's been awesome. So basically, I use this prompt, a little bit different here and there. I may add in some of the things that we already have if we turn analytics on. And it creates all the categories, subcategories, and trending keywords that you need. And we just copy and paste this into interaction analytics. And literally, things that took us, I don't know, a week to do, now it took us an hour. Really cool use case for, I think, ChatGPT. Really cool use case to get this even better, because that prompt we then keep adding to as we go. If we're starting to see anything. So this is a huge time. If anybody's into the analytics and onto interaction analytics and you're building that stuff out, use ChatGPT, give it as much stuff. Tell it you're using nice CX1 and you're using interaction analytics. Like, get that deep. It will know and have the correct font and the way to do it. Really cool. Okay, I'm speaking tomorrow on this. That's a super cheap plug. But one of the things there is on the platform is I'm not supposed to use DFO anymore. They told me I can't use that, digital first omni-channel. It's now just digital something, right? But basically, it's the integrations into Twitter, into Facebook, into all your social platforms. What we have done is we've used a piece of that. It's called BYOC, which is bring your own channel. So really smartly, NICE and CX1 said, we have no idea what social channels are going to be coming out tomorrow, right? There's BeFriend and there's, Chatamagram, and there's all these, all of this stuff that is coming out. Like, we can't build integrations like that. So BYOC allows any type of integration, right, into any type of digital platform. So and speaking on this tomorrow, we got huge into Discord, NFTs, Web3. Everybody's on Discord in that world. So we built an integration using BYOC into Discord, which then utilizes all the tools, analytics, the customer cards for NFT projects, and for hopefully someday a Fortnite or Roblox, something like that. And again, speaking of that tomorrow, but I just want you to know that that's available to everybody. It was not it took a little bit of API work, but it was not a difficult process to get connectivity into Discord where there was zero integration that was built. So don't think like, oh man, there's no integration. It's going to take a lot. It really did not take very much. And I can show you how we did it as well if you're interested. Tomorrow, June 7th, 1:45, room 406.1, if you want to hear more. All right, last one. You guys have no idea how many, when I go consult, how many customers have zero PCI compliant way to take credit card information, right? They're still taking it with an agent, typing in the whole thing, right? When there are extremely easy, now there's software, of course, that probably most of us have, but very, very easy on the platform. And again, I can give you this, right? Where we can take your credit card, send them to the IVR, have them input their information, and then send the information back to Salesforce, Zoho, Zendesk, proprietary CRM, whatever you have. As long as you have APIs, we can do it. You can do it. And have a kind of a PCI compliant process, especially with work from home, right? Where no agent, or no agent might be great, but the roommate walking, behind, saying, oh, look at that, okay, right, and goes and buys an iPad or an iPod. So again, please make sure there's no excuse for it anymore. This is a crazy easy way to utilize the platform to enhance the security if you do not have anything, especially if you are a smaller contact center. Please come see me, and I'd love to help you get a little bit more secure. And again, I'm not charging for any of this. Anything you guys would want, I'm more than happy to kind of just show you how we've done it. Unfortunately, I don't have any more. So please take a picture. Please follow me on LinkedIn, TikTok. I'm everywhere. Please also, advice from a Call Center Geek podcast. I guarantee you, if you enjoyed this talk today, this is kind of what we talk about on a lot of episodes, but in much more depth. Having said that, if you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to take them. Yes. Yeah, I can do that for sure. Yep. Actually, I'm charging for that one. So, kidding. Yes.
Do you have any issues with sentiment? And I'll give you an example of what we struggle with from my
Yeah.
like a technical type call center. So pretty much everybody calls in and says, hey, I have an issue or I have a problem and I'm trying to fix it, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So many of our calls come through with negative sentiment.
Yeah.
And they're 30-minute calls, so it's not like they're easy calls to listen to.
Right.
We go and listen to them and we're like, that was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Well, the number one thing with analytics, especially interaction analytics, is that it is not and not saying you guys are doing this, but it is not a plug and play device. And I think anybody who has it understands that. So what I would tell you there, I mean, there's ways that you can make those keywords, right, at certain times, if they're said, right, do not affect that call from a sentiment.
I think that's where we're pretty much in the infancy stage.
Yeah.
We're listening to calls and we're like, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah, and it's hard. Like for us getting a new client, right? Every time we get a new client and it's a new build out, we have to learn that too, right? Because those things they don't know. So it does take a little bit of time to kind of really figure that out, and then it's a constant work until you get it nice.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And then it really does. It's been almost a lifesaver for us. Anything else? Yes.
Sort of basing, say, a service level threshold off of sentiment scores, whereas back in the old days, they basically looked at how long were they willing to wait before they hung up.
Yeah, right.
So are you finding that people, that if they do wait a long time, does that also negatively impact the sentiment score, or is the sentiment score going to be more about the service they got once they're called back?
No, it's a great question. And what I want to do, and we haven't done this yet, is, again, working in so many different channels, even if it's a tiny benchmark for my company, right, to be able to benchmark what is the threshold that a customer will wait until it goes negative, right? And again, financial services, they don't wait as long, right? Retail, I think we've been trained. And why we wait long is because we've already been trained. Like if you call you're calling a travel agency like Expedia or something like that, we're almost programmed to wait longer. So those customers will wait longer. We see that in the types of channels that we have. So no, I will tell you, no one has an issue with 30 seconds. I know we talk about white glove, and there's certain things that do need white glove. Like, dude, agent needs to answer within 10 seconds. I get that. But for the vast majority, I think 80-30 is kind of overrated, kind of overplayed. I still utilize it. We still utilize it as our core. All customers want that. I get it. But when it comes to really saying, hey, what is the actual headcount we have to continue having a good customer experience from the door, right? There's a lot of other things that play in that customer journey, but how do we make sure this one piece is still okay? And we might be all right with not having as many agents or having that self-service model come into play as quickly as we think. Right. Right.
How do you see that comparing to some companies like to look at NPS?
Yep.
Some look at CSAT. So how do these different measures, do they usually align together, where if one's good, they're all good, or is there one that's really more indicative of truly did the agent do it good?
Yep. So that's the point. That is the whole point right there. Is please, if you don't follow me on LinkedIn, please do like 5 to 7 posts a day talking a lot about this, right? I have done a lot of videos on this, and we have found CSAT and sentiment scores, when you have your sentiment scores dialed in, correlate really, really, really well, right? And I think the problem with CSAT and NPS in surveys is that you get I call it like the two poles. You get the people who had awesome experiences that will take the survey. You got the people who had terrible experiences. Now, what's a terrible experience? That could mean I couldn't give them a refund because I was following the business rules, right? They didn't qualify for it. But still, we get dinged on our survey because they had a horrible experience. That's why I love sentiment scores, right? And when they're dialed in, you can't lie, right? And it's taking a whole huge swath of your overall customer. So again, we still have clients that want CSAT scores, and we'll do them, right? We'll charge them for it, right? But I want them to say, hey, look, we can correlate sentiment with it, and it's part of your analytics already. Like, why do we need to do that? So I'm a huge anti-survey guy. I think that's gone away since AI, since sentiment, since we can now score 100% of calls from that standpoint. We'll do them, but I think, again, you're getting false positives and false negatives a lot of the time on that stuff. Yes?
Are you finding that you get sentiment like in the whole time, or are you relying on saying when you're on the phone?
No, so yeah, so that's basically how that would work is, so as soon as, we can measure like as they're getting answered, right? And then you see it almost drops off the cliff, right? With the amount of calls that start. And again, we can do things like we can see calls that start negative and end positive. You can do all that on the platform. It's not just like one giant, kind of line. But yeah, that's kind of how we're looking at that. And then there's no like, you can look at it by metric, right? But there's no like set way to do it. You just have to keep testing, right? All the way down the line and like, oh, whoa, that's no good, right? And then you kind of come up with that number. Anything else, guys? Hey, I'm at, right when you walk in the innovation, right to the right is Expivia. If you guys have any questions, you want to talk about anything, I'm more than happy to answer anything. Thank you guys very much. Hopefully you got some value out of that.